Welcome back to Movies TV Mad, and you can follow me on Twitter, of course, at Movies TV Mad. And after a busy weekend of DC Fandom, it's a Monday, so welcome to Monday's edition of the DCEU Daily. Now, I didn't know this existed, but they actually did a China DC Fandom, and it looks like they got a lot more coverage of Andy and Barbara talking than we did in our international Western DC Fandom. I don't understand why. Well, I do, because China is probably more popular. Let me say that again. The DCEU is probably more popular in China than it is anywhere across the world. Now, this is probably why Affleck and Cavill won't be deleted from the DCEU. They're so popular. They won't want to be upsetting their biggest customers. But anyway, if you're not following the Flash film news, right, you are missing out on something. So we're going to go down their feed because there's a lot of information here from DC Fandom China. So if you bear with me, let's do this. So first of all, we can find out that it is official now. They've actually wrapped on the Flash movie. The first ever solo Flash movie has wrapped filming, from the first appearance of Ezra Miller's Flash in Zack Snyder's BVS to his solo appearance in Andy Machete's The Flash. We have come a long way with this character after DC Fandom. It looks like he's in great hands. DC Fandom China played this little promo before their The Flash panel with Ezra Miller and the Machetes that featured footage from Zack Snyder's Justice League. Again, Zack Snyder's Justice League is very prominent in Andy Machete's mind. So, as I say, he's not going to delete anything. Again, we go through this feed because nobody else has got this type of coverage. Nobody, not Screen Rant, nobody. It's amazing. They're an unofficial kind of source, and I think they should be verified. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Anyway, here's a great promo of Ezra Miller promoting DC Fandom in China, stating the Flash will be opening up the DC multiverse like an acorn. Wow, thanks Sasha Source for sending this to us. So as I say, you know, keep an eye on this account. It's the Flash Film News. Go and follow it now. I am not affiliated with them at all. I get nothing out of this, but you know, I respect great sources that give me great information. Anyway, so let's look at that a minute. The Flash movie will open up the multiverse like an acorn straight from Ezra Miller's mouth. But again, why didn't we have this stuff from our DC Fandom? This is why I was kind of disappointed with DC Fandom, not with the footage we got, not from the information and the celebration of DC, but we didn't get this kind of stuff, and I felt underwhelmed by that. And China is getting this stuff. That is clear that they're probably the DCEU's biggest customers, isn't it? And that's great, by the way. I think China should have coverage of everything. And I respect the Chinese people for loving DC. You know, we're brothers, sisters, and however else they identify as. But the point is, we should have got the same. It's weird. DC Fandom China had amazing exhibits featuring the Flash and the Justice League. Wow. This is just nuts. This is much better coverage than we got. This is absolutely insane. Look. Look. We didn't get this stuff. Wow. The Batmobile. The Batmobile. I think that's Affleck's Batmobile. Comment down below if I'm wrong. Wow. And finally this. Honestly, guys, I think this is ridiculous. I think it's great for China and the Chinese fans. But wait, this is why I felt shortchanged. We had 20 minutes of fucking Supergirl, right? A failed show that's ending. This is what we wanted as well. Anyway, let's go on. And obviously they're talking. I don't think I can put up the videos. Let's try and find out some more information for you. Right, this is an exciting one. Barbara Machete confirms Ben Affleck will wear the Batman cowl again for The Flash. So basically, there is no misunderstandings here. He wears the costumes. Remember when people were saying he wasn't going to suit up? Well, we already know that from the leaked on-location footage of the stunt team in the fucking Batmobile. That looks like a great sequence, by the way. To get Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck involved in The Flash, both Andy Machete and Ezra Miller called in a favour from Commissioner Gordon to shine the bat signal. Wow, that's exciting. Andy Machete during DC Fandom China explains the multiverse is not just a multiverse of characters, it's a multiverse of films. Wow! 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 Now, you know what this means? Again, I'm not going to play the video because for some reason when I play videos on Twitter, they buffer, and yesterday I actually got a copyright claim for doing that bumper edition celebrating and reacting to DC Fandom. So I'm not going to do that. So what does he mean by this? What he means by this is what we've heard already from Daniel RPK. That the Flash will be treading ever so lightly in every DCEU movie. This film is going to be fucking huge, by the way. Yes, it's an official wrap. There's Andy's Instagram post. I don't know how I missed this one. But it's a wrap, and he thanks everyone's hard work every day on the Flash movie. I've got so much time for this director, you know, he's a great guy. Andy Machete likes the Zack Snyder's Justice League Flash statue. Wow! Look at this. Thank you, Prime Studio, for this insane statue of Justice League, the Flash. He's a big supporter of the Snyder Cut. That's mad, isn't it? That's mad. This is great stuff, isn't it? Andy Machete thanked the crew and the cast of The Flash in his latest Instagram post. Here's another one. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. How many times did we watch the Flash first look teaser? Quite a few times. So I think that's everything. Very, very exciting. Now, who else? What other YouTuber gives you DC coverage like that? I've showed you what went on in China. I woke up this morning, before I opened my eyes, I had no idea there was a DC Fandom China. I'm a little bit outraged that we didn't get the same respect and the same coverage, but look, as long as that information is out there, they've got to do what they think is right, and clearly China love the DCEU probably more than the rest of the world does, and very rarely gets banned, the DCEU films as well, in China, which is very, very rare. But we found out that Affleck wears the cow in the costume, which is awesome. Basically, it's not just a multiverse of characters, the Flash movie, it's a multiverse of movies. Wow. Now that's also interesting, because that kind of shows you that it's crossing over to other movies that have nothing to do with the DCEU as well. So that's, look, this is what I've been telling you from day one. This is the film that changes everything. This is a film that crosses over everything DC live action we've ever seen. Will they dare to cross over to the Reeves movies? Maybe Superman the movie. I think they will. They could even use Brandon Routh for that. But I think they'd want a cameo of Christopher Reeve as well, wouldn't they? This film is going to be absolutely massive. I want to quickly cover something Blu-ray Angel was saying on Twitter. Blu-ray Angel is that amazing, passionate fan who loves absolutely everything DC and Marvel, and had that famous reaction to the first Batman trailer. I mean, the second reaction to Saturday's trailer is even more nuts. But listen to what he says. Superman doesn't get defeated by magic, it's just a vulnerability. Everyone is vulnerable to magic, but Superman is still built different. Yes, he's built different, but he's not impervious to magic. He's impervious to everything else apart from kryptonite and magic. And if you cast the right spell on Superman, not only could he be very dangerous, but ultimately the right spell could kill Superman. We'll discuss this a lot more because we'll be reacting for a Screen Rant article about what The Rock said about him being able to do magic will be able to kill Superman, which makes my very point. Stay tuned for that a little bit later on. The Batman's Robert Pattinson wore Val Kilmer's batsuit in costume test. The Batman star Robert Pattinson reveals he wore Val Kilmer's batsuit during costume test for the upcoming film based on the iconic DC Comics hero by Nathan Graham Lowry of Screen Rant. The Batman star Robert Pattinson revealed that he wore Val Kilmer's batsuit during costume tests for the upcoming film Based on the iconic DC Comics hero, Pattinson stars as the titular Caped Crusader and will be joined by Zoe Kravitz, Andy Serkis, Jeffrey Wright, Paul Dano and Colin Farrell. The Batman is directed by Matt Reeves and is due to release on March the 4th, 2022. Fans have waited with much anticipation and discussion to see Pattinson's portrayal of the Dark Knight, following the actor's casting announcement in May 2019. Doesn't that seem like a long time ago now? Reeves had previously promised an almost noir-driven detective approach to the Batman character in mythos, wanting to make a believable take on the hero when compared to prior adaptations. Audiences finally got their first look at Pattinson's Batman in-camera test footage posted by Reeves in February 2020, showcasing Pattinson's armour-plated grounded batsuit in a brief tease for fans long before the first trailer would debut at DC Fandom 2020. However, during DC Fandom 2021, Pattinson revealed he wore a much different costume before donning his own batsuit. During the Batman panel at DC Fandom, Reeves revealed that during early screen tests for the film, Pattinson wore the batsuit that Kilmer wore in Batman Forever. Pattinson then recalled the day he donned the costume, discussing how nervous he was and how difficult it was to move about in Kilmer's rubber latex costume. Pattinson stated that after 2 takes, Reeves asked if anything could be done about Pattinson sweating, with the actor jokingly responding nothing could be done and having to be drained of sweat afterwards. Check out Pattinson's full recollection below. It was crazy, but I remember putting it on and thinking this is impossible. This is going to be absolutely impossible. I remember you, Reeves, saying because I guess just trying to move, I mean wearing a kind of 2-inch thick rubber suit, a latex suit, and being incredibly nervous and full of adrenaline the whole time. I remember we did 2 takes and you were just saying, what can we do about the sweat? And I was like, nothing. There's nothing that could be done. I had to be drained of liquid. Kilmer starred in Joel Schumacher's directed Batman Forever in 1995 and had himself complained about the batsuit due to its restricting his movement. Kilmer starred alongside Chris O'Donnell, Nicole Kidman, Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey, who played Robin, Dr. Chase Meridian, Two-Face and the Riddler respectively. Kilmer's entry into the Batman franchise at the time was met with mixed responses from critics and fans, with the film meeting many comparisons to the prior Tim Burton Helm movies, with its drastically changed, more light-hearted and marketable tone. The truth is, let me tell you, because when this film was released, Batman Forever, we didn't overanalyze and look too deeply into our movies and TV shows. I can tell you that from experience. Most people didn't hate this film. This film made a lot of money. This film did well. We enjoyed it while we watched it. Now, I don't think it's anywhere as near in quality and depth as the Burton's first 2 movies, but it's still a good movie and I enjoy it to this day. With the Batman leaning towards a more grounded, realistic approach, it might surprise long-time fans to hear that Pattinson tested with Kilmer's batsuit. Kilmer and Schumacher's films lean heavily into the more outlandish and cartoonish approach to the Batman mythos, leading to many of its designs being heavily stylized. A far cry from what Pattinson and Reeves' gritty and brutal portrayal is shaping up to be. Despite this, fans may now wonder just how the Batman star looked in Kilmer's suit. No doubt they took pictures and one day we'll know. But I'm not surprised to hear this because I think, wasn't it Henry Cavill who actually dressed in Christopher Reeve's costume to audition as well? They do it because they haven't designed a suit yet, because they haven't decided who's going to play the character. So how can you design a suit with all the measurements for someone you haven't cast yet? So LWB, they've got all the old costumes laying around, so that's what they do. I'll never understand why the old costumes were so restrictive. I mean, these people could make comfortable costumes that still look great. It's a lack of respect for your artists as far as I'm concerned, but that's just my opinion. But it's a bit of a little bit of information there that we didn't know about, that Robert Pattinson wore Val Kilmer's Batman costume for his audition for the Batman. As discussed earlier, the Flash movie director confirms filming wraps on DC movie with BTS image. Just a day after the first sneak peek at DC Fandom, the Flash officially wraps filming a whole year ahead of its scheduled release date. Yes, we're nearly in November, so they finished filming. Now, that little sequence we saw, that would have taken them ages to put together. This is, you know, now, did they prep that footage we saw at Fandome especially, or has he actually done that with the whole movie? Is the whole movie complete? Of course it's not. Of course it's not, because they just finished shooting. He can't be shooting and, you know, be doing editing and VFX, and, you know, they've obviously got the music to put over it as well. So this film is nowhere near done. So how long would it finish, or how long would it take to finish everything so it's a finished film? Because they, in my opinion, they may bring this film's release date forward. I'm not sure, because it's clashing with other things. It's very close to, I think, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom as well. But that may be done on purpose to keep people focused on the DCEU. But I think it's going to take about 3 months or so, 3 or 4 months to finish everything. That's what I think. It won't take much longer. It might do, I don't know. So you could be looking at something like coming more nearer just after the summer, rather than when it's going to come out. It all depends with the MCU schedule, which I don't know off by heart, by the way. Anyway, The Flash has wrapped filming. According to the film's director, The Flash has had a turbulent production history. I still don't get that. Anyway, basically what they're saying is since 2014. So we're humour them. Since Ezra Miller was announced to play the Scarlet Speedster in 2014, the film has undergone multiple directors. Loads of films have multiple directors and changes. It doesn't matter. Stop going on about it. Story, pictures and release dates until finally settling on the version that is set to hit theatres in 2022 from IT director Andy Machete and a script by Birds of Prey writer Christina Hodson. Right, this film hasn't actually undergone many changes. I'll tell you why. Maybe they've done different scripts. They always rewrite scripts all the time anyway. But from day one, this film was always going to embody, in some shape or form, Flashpoint. And we heard from the other directors that this was going to be a type of Back to the Future movie. Well, this is going to be a Back to the Future kind of 2 movie, Flashpoint, because that's what Flashpoint is. And in Back to the Future 2, Marty treads all over Back to the Future 1, and he's, you know, Ezra's character will be doing this with all DC content, TV shows, movies. Very exciting. While little on the film's plot has been released, the film is being teased as a multiversal epic, which will see Michael Keaton reprising his role as Bruce Wayne Batman from the original Batman film series by Tim Burton. The film will also introduce a new Supergirl to the DCEU, played by actress Sasha Calle. Now, as I said yesterday, I predict she is actually Flashpoint Supergirl. And as I said yesterday, if you're part of the Flashpoint timeline, surely you're not going to survive to be in more movies. That's just my theory. But what do I know? A DC Fandom audiences got their first sneak peek at The Flash, and a look at Keaton in the bat suit at the end of the sneak peek. Miller reminded fans that The Flash was currently in production. Now, don't forget, we didn't actually get a proper shot of Keaton in the bat suit. We got him from behind. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? Basically, we saw a behind view of him in the cowl, but it was his voiceover on the sneak peek. Yet just one day later, The Flash has wrapped principal photography as Machete took to Instagram to celebrate. The photo features the director sitting surrounded by equipment in what appears to be a sewer set. Filming on The Flash began on April 9, 2021. So the wrap of the production comes 2 days shy of 6 months filming schedule. As I say, the longest shoot in DC history. No, not in DC history, because Superman the movie is the longest shoot in DC live action history, but this is the longest shoot for a DCEU movie. And now this is interesting because we just saw this. Actually, I'm not going to go to this, but I'm not going to close up on it, but we'll look at it like this. So yeah, he seems to be in some sewer. Now I don't know what they're doing down here, what this actually is, so kind of interesting. They may be revisiting that scene in the Suicide Squad, the first Suicide Squad, when, I know it's a sewer, but it looks very similar to that sequence when Captain Boomerang is stealing some money and then the Flash catches up with him. But maybe I'm wrong about that, so I don't really know what's going on. It's just a little theory. It may not actually be a sewer. The Flash is currently scheduled to open in theatres on November the 4th, 2022, meaning that filming on the film has concluded over a whole year before its release date. Now the Flash will enter post-production with the year until release. It will have plenty of time to work on the film's visual effects, which, given the Flash's abilities, are likely very complex. Additional reshoots are also likely expected. I wouldn't expect too many reshoots, to be honest with you, but this is a complicated movie. Maybe everyone hasn't shot their scenes that's going to cameo in the movie. And what's even more complicated is not just about the Flash's powers. That's straightforward mostly. It's going to be high tech and look amazing. But I think the more difficulty is, showing the Flash going to one universe to another, seeing all these him treading in these movies. That's going to take a lot of hard work. So probably going to take a lot more than the 3 or 4 months that I said earlier. I mean, they could be actually thinking about this now. They could be doing, post-production up to the release date, because that sometimes happens. We'll have to wait and see. Are likely very complex. Additional reshoots are also likely expected, possibly to allow for more DCEU cameos from actors who perhaps couldn't make it into the original production schedule. Now the production has wrapped, the marketing campaign for the film can be expected to pick up in the coming months. While an official trailer for The Flash is unlikely for this year, the early part of 2022 has a lot of potential releases that could indicate when a trailer will drop. Warner Brothers could have a trailer out in early March to play in theatres before The Batman. That's a very good idea. Or they could release it in April to attach it in front of Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, which will also star Miller. March and April will give the team plenty of time to craft an exciting trailer for The Flash to build the hype for a movie many have been waiting years for yet. It's a big movie. It's the movie that's literally, as Ezra Miller said, it's gonna crack open the multiverse like an acorn, and I just can't wait to see what we're gonna get. Now, of course, you know that I've bored on about my theory that Joaquin Phoenix's Joker will be in the mic drop moment at the end of the Batman. Well, take a listen to this. The Batman trailer image edit brings Joaquin Phoenix's Joker to Gotham. Now look at this, look at this. This is really cool. Yeah, baby, that looks excellent. Who knows, who knows? I'm still sticking with my theory, so we'll have to see. The new trailer for the Batman has already yielded some creative fan works like this edit that brings Joaquin Phoenix's Joker to Pattinson's Gotham by Rachel Abernathy of Screen Rant. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker danced into Gotham in a perfect The Batman image edit. Once upon a time, Matt Reeves' The Batman would have already been released by this point in 2021, but due to various delays caused by the coronavirus pandemic, it is still several months away. In this case, though, the longer wait has only made fans more excited for the movie. Starring Robert Pattinson as the titular hero, The Batman finds Bruce Wayne in his second year as Gotham's Dark Knight, right as a brutal serial killer begins terrorizing the city. Though the main antagonist so far appears to be Paul Dano's Riddler, there are several major players from Batman's Rogues Gallery who have roles in this film. There's the Penguin Colin Farrell, not yet the villain fans know, but getting there, and Carmine Falcone, John Turturro. Additionally, Zoe Kravitz plays Catwoman for the Batman. And yet, despite all these famous comic characters populating the movie, the Batman is missing Bruce's most notorious enemy of all, the Joker. He's going to be there. He will be in that film. Fans are quite taken with the idea of Pattinson's Batman facing off against the Joker in the future, and a new image edit from Boss Logic brings that scenario to life. Taking a shot from the recent Batman trailer, the graphic artist adds Joaquin Phoenix's iteration of the Joker to Pattinson's well. The scene already induced chills in the best way, but the Joker's inclusion only heightens the sensation. Check it out below. Ah, this is from Boss Logic, no wonder it's so awesome. Phoenix's Joker and Pattinson's Batman are alike when it comes to their place in the greater DCEU. The 2019 movie Joker stands apart from the rest of the franchise and doesn't hold many connections to the greater comic book world. The Batman is similar in that it is reportedly set on a different Earth within the DCEU, therefore doesn't interact with other movies. Well, we're heading to a multiverse strategy, so that's going to change. Still, even though they aren't connected in any way as of right now exactly, at least, fans have been quick to point out that Joker and the Batman could easily exist within the same universe, as I've been saying. Both movies have a gritty style that suit each other well, and if Reeves wished to bring in a Joker for future sequels, it could certainly be Phoenix's. I'm telling you, one of the last sequences is going to be Joaquin Phoenix's Joker showing up. He clearly wants a big future within the DC Extended Universe, and that's exciting. Now, I could be wrong, but that's what I want, and that's what I think is going to happen. Comment down below and let me know what you think. This weekend's release of the latest trailer for The Batman has renewed interest in the 2022 movie. Interest never went away, Rachel, and opened the door for even more discussion about what Reeves has in store. While the trailer put great focus on Bruce and Catwoman, it still kept several characters in the dark, particularly the Riddler. It's clear there are a lot of surprises ahead of The Batman, and hopefully some of them will even be kept for the movie itself. After all this time, audiences deserve the chance to see it unfold as Reeves wants it to, exactly. And who knows, maybe it even contain a sly reference to the Clown Prince of Crime that will be sure to ignite even more enthusiasm among fans. But you know what? As well as my theory about Joaquin's Joker being in this movie, and I'm pretty confident about that, but we will wait and see. I was wrong about certain things with Fandome. I could be wrong again. I'm sure you're shouting at your device or whatever you're watching this perfection on. But we've been talking about this film being very much like kind of a serial killer kind of movie. And what if they kind of replicate, what if they repeat what, Fincher did with Seven? What, at the end of The Batman, the Riddler has somebody's head in a box? And what if that head belongs to Selina Kyle, Catwoman? Now you're saying, Mick, Catwoman can't die in the first movie, but this is Matt Reeves, and anything's possible. Now, could they do that in a non-R-rated movie? I don't know. You'll have to tell me. And as I say, it's just a theory. Again, comment down below. Let me know what you think of my insane nutball theory. As we saw at DC Fandom, the Batman figures give detailed look at Catwoman Riddler's costumes. Newly unveiled, the Batman figures from McFarlane showcased the first detailed look at the design of Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman and Paul Dano's Riddler by Ethan Fox of Screen Rant. Now here's the pictures, they're very good. I'm sure there'll be more in the article. I haven't actually looked at the article, we're looking at this together for the first time. Newly unveiled, the Batman action figures offer audiences their first detailed look at the costumes for Catwoman and the Riddler, first being announced in October 2014 as a standalone film for Ben Affleck's interpretation of the character. The Batman has undergone an immensely rocky development process, from changing its lead actor to switching between many directors and eventually undergoing a complete rewrite. Ultimately, the film went to director Matt Reeves, who cast Robert Pattinson in the lead role as a younger Batman much earlier in his vigilante career. Joining Pattinson's Batman are Zoe Kravitz as the mysterious Catwoman, Paul Dano as the Riddler, Jeffrey Wright as Lieutenant James Gordon, and Andy Serkis as the loyal Alfred Pennyworth, and Colin Farrell as an up-and-coming crime lord, the Penguin. The plot itself is said to take inspiration from Batman Year One and the long Halloween comic book runs of the character, and is set in the Batman's second year of crime fighting. While facing a newly established and puzzling serial killer, the vigilante also uncovers a sense of corruption within his city that connects to his own family and must fight to put it to an end. Wow, look, this film's going to be amazing, isn't it? I mean, I already know the plot and I'm going, wow. Upon the airing of DC Fandom 2021, online retailer Entertainment Earth unveiled brand new action figures from the film, including Batman himself and brand new looks at Kravitz's Catwoman and Dano's Riddler. The figures are designed by toy manufacturer McFarlane, who has previously designed a plethora of comic book characters such as Superman, Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn. The figures are set to be released in January 2022, closer to the film's release, at $19.99 each. Yeah, they're expensive, but worth it. I mean, you may not think $19.99 is expensive, but fucking hell, I certainly would invest in that. Look at that. That's freaking awesome, isn't it? Anyway. Oh, there's Dano's the Riddler. I've got to show you that. Brilliant. Despite previous teasers, set photos and trailers, these figures are the first real fully body look at the designs of both Riddler and Catwoman that audiences have seen thus far. At last year's DC Fandom experience, previews of the two that were showcased were immensely hidden, with Catwoman only being seen in the dimly lit fight scene with Batman. The Riddler was shown in a much more stylistically lit scene with a victim, but only his head shoulders shown within the teaser. Previous set photos showcasing Batman and Catwoman's motorcycle chase have briefly shown Catwoman's suit in daylight. However, with the use of a motorcycle helmet, her mask was nowhere to be seen, making the character seem almost unrecognisable in a simple leather-clad appearance. Let's go back to Catwoman. Yeah, that's the Catwoman. That's brilliant. That she pretty much looks like that. She basically looks like that in the comics. I know it's slightly different, but you know, I think it's a lot better than what they gave. I mean, it wasn't even Catwoman in The Dark Knight Rises. You know, I don't really like that version anyway. But yeah, we're going with the proper, you know, Catwoman whip as well. She's got the whip. Will she have the Catwoman whip in the film? I don't know. If it's there, surely it's going to be in the movie. But would McFarlane Toys, what would they know? How much would they know about the movie? It's interesting, isn't it? Anyway, with the reveal of these figures, not only do audiences get their first look at these iconic characters' new live-action interpretations, but they also shown Reeves' extremely grounded and realistic vision of Gotham's villains and aesthetic overall. While similar to Christopher Nolan's realistic take on the source material, Reeves' version appears to be much more stylistic, which I like, by the way, with Catwoman's mask still sporting her iconic cat ears. Yes, because Christopher Nolan isn't a comic book fan. He's not even really a Batman fan. He brought in David Goyer because David Goyer is a comic guy and knew more about this stuff. I'm not saying that to be, you know, harsh to Christopher Nolan. It's just a fact. Matt Reeves is writing and directing the Batman. He's a huge Batman fan. Robert Pattinson is playing Batman, and he's a huge Batman fan. So I think we're going to get something special here. Albeit subtly, and Riddler's recognisable question mark logo still, where are we? Still sporting her iconic. Where have I gone? Let's start again because I got a notification. Apologies. So, Reeves' version appears to be much more stylistic, with Catwoman's mask still sporting her iconic cat's ears, albeit subtly, and Riddler's recognisable question mark logo still appearing on his green covered coat while sporting a green tinged and haunting mask. Audiences will now have to wait to truly see these designs in action on the big screen on March the 4th once the Batman hits theatres. So I think these toys look amazing. Now, in designing these toys, they need to have a little look at the design. So they would need that. They haven't been shown the movie or anything, but certainly they would have to know what these characters are going to look like. So I think what you see in these toys actually is going to be how they will be in the movie, and that's awesome. Now, we know that Matt Reeves and Zack Snyder have got a great respect for each other, a mutual respect. Zack supporting Matt's movie and Matt being very happy for Zack when the Snyder Cut was released, even posting on Twitter about it. Well, Zack Snyder reacts to the Batman movie trailer. Director Zack Snyder recently took to Twitter reacting to Warner Brothers and DC's The Batman movie trailer released during DC Fandom 2021 by Josh Planisi. Zack's probably thinking, hang on a minute, I just said something nice about the trailer, but it belongs to Warner Brothers. Oh, let me take that back. Only joking. He loves it, genuinely. Director Zack Snyder reacts to Warner Brothers and DC's The Batman movie trailer released during DC Fandom 2021. Snyder's filmography includes comic book graphic novels adaptations like 300 and Watchmen, which contributed to Christopher Nolan and WB's decision to have him helm Man of Steel 2013 and in turn launched the DC Extended Universe. That being said, Snyder was responsible for casting decisions such as Jason Momoa Aquaman and Ben Affleck as the Dark Knight in Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice. But this author of this article doesn't actually admit that Zack cast Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Yes, sorry, you can't give that to Patty Jenkins. This is what I said yesterday. It's not her trilogy. She barely had that to do with the first film. That's why it's so good. Anyway, unfortunately, WB infamously abandoned the Snyderverse following 2017's Justice League. The 4-hour Snyder Cut was released on HBO Max earlier this year, cementing itself as the definitive version of Justice League. The film's success not only reinvigorated interest in the Snyderverse, but Affleck's Caped Crusader originally. Affleck was supposed to write, direct and star in a solo film, The Batman, which would see his Dark Knight square off against Deathstroke. something set up at the end of Snyder's Justice League. Ultimately, Affleck left the project and the Batman morphed into a reboot starring Robert Pattinson as a younger Bruce Wayne. Matt Reeves' The Batman, which is set to explore the gritty early days of the Batman's career, recently dropped its second trailer at this year's DC Fandom. Snyder took to Twitter to share his reaction to watching the Batman's latest trailer. The director merely shared the trailer, tweeted at Reeves and commented, "This is awesome, check it below." Zack Snyder posted this, Matt Reeves LA at the Batman, "This is awesome," because this is right up Zack Snyder's street, isn't it? Gritty, dark, real world. Of course he's going to love it. We all love it. It's going to be great. In addition to Pattinson's vengeance, the Batman features Andy Serkis as Alfred Pennyworth, Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon, Paul Dano's Riddler, Colin Farrell's Penguin, Zoe Kravitz, Zelina Kyle, Catwoman. Similar to the reaction to Affleck's Batman casting, the internet approached the news of Pattinson's casting with a fair amount of trepidation. I didn't have any issue with it, because anyone who had been paying attention had seen all the indie films he'd already done. But even if it was just Twilight, you don't judge someone on their previous work, and don't judge that person. That thing, that franchise made his career. It was huge. There's nothing, Rob, if you're watching this, which you're not, you have nothing to be ashamed of for Twilight. You did great. Anyway, however, when the first The Batman movie trailer was unveiled during DC Fandom 2020, a lot of naysayers were silenced. This latest trailer doubles down on the brutality and violence showcased in the first trailer, while making it exceptionally clear that The Batman is a dark film, like Batman v Superman and Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy before it. Reeves has previously expressed his interest in seeing the Batman explore its eponymous character's mantle as the world's greatest detective. The film will reportedly challenge the character's ideals and morality by adapting aspects of comic storylines, including Frank Miller's Batman Year One. Both Reeves and Snyder are avid comic book fans, with the latter often citing Miller's The Dark Knight Returns as the inspiration for Affleck's Batman. In many ways, Snyder's work has paved the way for Reeves' seemingly unrestrained approach to the Batman. While Snyder's relationship with the DC Universe is most likely a thing of the past, Affleck will appear as his Batman in the upcoming The Flash. Having Zack Snyder say this kind of reminds me of the irony of allowing Matt Reeves to make this gritty, dark, brutal take, this detective noir unique take on a comic book character, one of the most popular, one of the first, right? And the question I've got for you, Matt Reeves is allowed to do it, but Zack Snyder wasn't. Now, thankfully, he got to make his 3 movies. At least that's something. And they can never take them away from Zack, and they can't take them away from us who love Zack's movies. But it's interesting. But now going back to something else. In the movie, in the trailers we've seen, Rob Pattinson's Battinson, let's call him that, Batman, says, "I'm vengeance." What if he actually doesn't call himself the Batman all throughout the film, and everyone knows him as the Vengeance? I am vengeance, right? But at the end of the film, he iconically says, "I'm not vengeance, I'm Batman." That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Come on, I should be Batman, man. Imagine me, I'm Batman. Brilliant. Give me the fucking job now. Sorry, Rob. Anyway, Rob can still play Batman. I can be some multiversal, elseworld Batman. It would be awesome. Anyway, that's my theory about that. Now, I must admit, when it came to the Nomi trailer, which is a CW show, which will be showrun by Ava DuVernay, I must admit, I wasn't that interested. I think I made a cup of tea, because it wasn't something I'll probably be following. But, so this is something I don't know about, and really I should have done my due diligence as a DC, live action YouTuber, so I apologise for this, because this sounds a bit exciting. DC's Nomi show trailer shows Superman flying above main character. Wow! Nobody told me this! The CW's newest DC hero, Casey Wolfall's Nomi, experiences a strange sensation on her way to see Superman in a trailer for her upcoming show by Rachel Labonte of Screen Rant. Superman makes a cameo in a new trailer for the CW's upcoming Nomi, with the Man of Steel flying high over the titular hero. The newest addition to the CW stable of DC shows stands apart from others in a few interesting ways. For the one thing, Nomi was created by Ava DuVernay, doesn't count Greg Berlanti amongst its producers, producing team for another. Its main character, Naomi McDuffie, was only introduced in the comics in 2019, making her transition to television rather speedy. Casey Wolford will play the superpowered team. Naomi is set to premiere sometime in 2022. By all accounts, it does take place within the Arrowverse. However, it remains to be seen just how many connections it will hold to the greater universe, which is known for its epic crossover in addition to Wolford. The interesting thing is, if this thing is a flop, then it will do more and more Arrowverse crossovers because they'll need it to bump up the ratings. That's what they did with Supergirl over on CBS. No one was watching it. All of a sudden, Barry Allen and Supergirl crossed over. Naomi stars Cranston Johnson, Barry Watson and several other. Fans have so far only received a few peeks at Naomi, though this weekend's DC Fandom event supplied a closer look at its titular hero's first brush with the DC Universe at large. As part of the panel on Naomi at DC Fandom via Warner Bros. TV, fans were treated to a first look at the series. The clip sees Wolford's Naomi preparing to give a presentation in class, only to be stopped short by the news that Superman has touched down nearby. Eager to see this firsthand, Naomi rushes off on her skateboard, but before she can reach the town square, she's overcome by a strange sensation. Luckily, she still gets one glimpse at Superman before she passes out. You can see the trailer down below. I didn't know this. I'm going to have to check the trailer out later. Wow. I don't know. Have you lot seen this trailer? Whether this Superman is supposed to be Tyler Hoechlin from Superman and Lois remains to be seen. Thanks to the creation of the multiverse, Naomi can exist within its own Arrowverse bubble and doesn't need to decide its story based on the other shows, similar to Stargirl. Superman doesn't even need to factor too much into Naomi. Of course not. We wouldn't want a man to have anything to do with a female-led show, right? The moment shown above is more about her gradually approaching the onset of her powers, which seems to be somehow triggered by her unexpected trip down to the town square. Listen, Superman's there because they wanted him to be there. It's great that Ava DuVernay did this. Let's keep it positive. It's got everything to do with our love of Superman, and Naomi rushing out to see him means she loves him too, like we do. It's okay. It's okay for men to be part of things as well, right? Let's stop this nonsense. Anyway, based on this quick first look, Naomi appears to have very different style than past Arrowverse show. This makes sense, seeing it comes from a different creative team and so far stands apart from the rest. Between this and Stargirl, it does feel like the Arrowverse is entering a new era with uniquely styled shows. Fans will get to see just how Naomi fits into the world of superhero television when it arrives sometime next year. So very interesting, because I didn't know about that. Maybe I'll check the pilot out. I probably will check the pilot out. It's best to give these things a chance. Maybe it won't be a typical, CW Arrowverse show, and it may actually be unique and a good watch. We'll have to wait and see. And finally today, we all know that Smallville is now 20 years old. It's celebrating its 20th anniversary since Saturday, but we've known for some time that Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum, who played Clark Kent and Lex Luthor respectively in Smallville, are actually got together to develop an animated television show continuing from Smallville. Now, we don't know what this is. Now, superfan and super subscriber to my channel, Scott Edwards, has linked me into a CBR.com article about it, and this gives more details, much more details than I ever knew. Smallville animated revival will do what the original series couldn't, exclusive. Smallville stars Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum explain how their animated series would explore Clark Kent's story in a way live action couldn't. By Megan Damore of CBR.com. Smallville is about to get animated. While speaking to CBR about the upcoming Blu-ray release of Smallville, the complete series stars Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum offered an update on the project, which is still in early development. According to the two actors, they're preparing to pitch the series to Warner Bros., and they already have a few ideas about how they can explore Clark Kent's story a way they couldn't with live action. Well, look, we're not allowed really to talk about it now because it's in the early stages. So we're developing it. We're trying to see what happens with it. But that's about all I can say right now. Rosenbaum explained to CBR. With, by the way, this is very important, which we didn't know before, with Smallville creators Alfred Goff and Miles Miller, Welling added. Let's get those names right. Alfred Gough, because they're legends, Alfred Gough and Miles Miller, Welling added. So Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Welling have got back with the Smallville creators to develop this. This really means, even though Michael and Tom will be there in the discussions and they'll have a lot to say in the development of this, this really is Alfred Gough's and Miles Miller's baby. Now, this is actually brilliant because Tom Welling kind of, when Al and Miles left, said that Smallville was getting a bit too much to the fantasy and lost the reality, and I thought that was a bit of a slay on the two legends that created Smallville in the first place. So it's great to see that they put whatever bad feeling, if there was any bad feeling, behind them, and they're all working together now to create something special. But what will this be? Will these be Smallville tales we never saw in the past? Are they adapting season 11? If it was me, because we all wanted a Metropolis show, and we did get a Smallville series 11 comic, a series of comics, it would be great to adapt those comics because there's some really good stuff in there. So I would love to see that. Yeah, with our Miles, we're trying, and obviously Warner Brothers Rosenbaum said, we can't talk about it, but we would love to, Welling shared. We're getting our pitch ready, let's just say that. That's all we can say, Rosenbaum teased. We just love the relationships, we love the characters on Smallville. I think a lot of people wish that it would keep going. And there's possibilities, which I said for years. I've been saying this for years, and no one would listen to me. Finally, someone's doing something about it. Yeah, one of the things I hear from fans is like, why did you guys stop? Welling interjected. Well, I can give a million reasons why we stopped, but I also understand why a fan would want it to go on. I feel the same way about other projects that I'm a fan of. Like, keep going, and there are limitations at some point. We ran out of story for Clark. He continued, Clark had to become Superman, and Smallville could not be a Superman series. It just wasn't built that way. So what we're trying to do is sort of jump into this other arena where we can maybe service that idea and have fun doing so. Reports of Smallville animated series surfaced in June when Welling shared the news with a fan via cameo message. In that message, Welling promised the animated series would use as many of the original cast members as possible. Now he has made it clear that he will also be one of the creative forces behind the project alongside his longtime co-star and friend Michael Rosenbaum and Smallville creators Al Gough and Miles Miller. Because basically Miller Gough Inc., which is Al Miles' company, you can't do anything involving Smallville without their say-so. Smallville premiered on the WB, now the CW, in 2001 and ran for 217 episodes across 10 seasons, ending in 2011. The show starred Welling as a young Clark Kent and followed his formative years in the Kansas town of Smallville as he developed his abilities and made both friends and enemies along the way. Chief among them was Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor, who began as one of Clark's best friends and slowly transitioned into the Man of Steel's most cunning foe. It also featured appearances from such notable DC heroes as Aquaman, Green Arrow and Black Canary, among others. Yeah, just the tip of the iceberg. As I say, Smallville reinvigorated my love for Superman, which I always had, but it also made me a DC fan and educated me about these DC universes and characters. What a show, what an achievement. The show famously had no tights, no flights, meaning Welling's Clark Kent never donned Superman's iconic costume or flew over the course of Smallville. Well, he did fly in Smallville actually in season 4, Crusade. However, the story continued in comic book form with Smallville season 11, which picked up where the finale left off and even introduced Batman into the show's continuity, but we never saw Bats. CBR will continue to provide updates about the Smallville animated series. So, what we now know, which we didn't know before this article, is that Al and Miles are involved in this. Alfred Gough and Miles Miller, the creators of Smallville, the owners of Miller Gough Inc., are involved. Well, they would have to be involved or this couldn't happen. So with our Miles genius, because, you know, when I heard Michael and Tom were doing this on their own, I was kind of thinking, yeah, look, I love you in the roles and you're really good actors and you're great guys and great dudes and all of that, but there's no way you can pull this off on your own. So it's good to hear that Al and Miles are involved with this because it's their vision and they can, all four of them can do something special with this. Now, the question, as I've already said, is will they kind of do an offshoot of the Smallville series, maybe kind of off-screen stuff we never saw on the show? I wouldn't be that excited about it. We had 10 seasons of Smallville. We've seen that done. I would be disappointed. Let's look. This is an opportunity for Tom's Clark Kent to be Superman, to adapt Smallville Series 11. You know, it would be great. And I think that's the way they have to go. So I hope that's what they do, but they could do anything. Look, we're getting Smallville back, in animated form at least, and whatever they do, I'm here for it. Bring it on. This has been the movie... Let me say that again. God, what's wrong with me today? Right, this has been the DCEU Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this blubbering, crazy piece of perfection. And I'll see you for even more DCEU Daily tomorrow. Until then, goodbye. See you again soon.